What's up, y'all? This is Matthew from The Rim Review. The Rim Review is a page that offers in depth player analysis and gives nuance to the way that you watch basketball. In this series, we're going to be going over every single prospect in the upcoming 2026 NBA draft. And in today's episode, we're going to be looking at a consensus All American in Joshua Jefferson. When addressing Joshua Jefferson on the offensive side, specifically his strengths, he does a ton of things incredibly well. First, I think he's a really solid playmaker, especially for being, a forward. He had a 1.83 assist to turnover ratio, and I believe he had over 150 assists. Secondly, he's got great patience and maturity around the rim, something that I think has been shown through his 4 years in college, and he was in the 81st percentile in the post when, addressing post play. I also believe that JJ does a really solid job and has great fundamentals at getting to the rim. Although sometimes it might be a little inconsistent at the rim, he's got great fundamentals being able to get downhill and in the paint. Lastly, and I think this kind of addresses everything in general, but I will say I think he's truly a versatile big man that can do a little bit of everything. However, there are going to be a few weaknesses, but not much, as I've said, because he's so versatile. The first thing I want to note, which obviously can be significantly improved with NBA coaching and shooting coaches, and that is that, in my eyes, his jump shot is pretty inconsistent. I know that on the stat sheet it says 34%, and I will say it's improved year by year, but when I'm watching, it's consistently off of line, so it's not really a consistent shot. He's either really short, really far, left, right. It's not consistent, which hopefully can be improved for whatever team drafts him. Secondly, I think if he wants to be a ball handling guy, which you don't have to be, you need to know your role in the NBA. But if he wants to be a guy with the ball, being able to score on his own, which he has capabilities to do, he's going to need to improve his ball handling skills. And then finally, sometimes in the post, he can get bothered versus doubles, which I will address in the analysis. Similar to pretty much every analysis I'm going to do, I will start off with a few clips in transition. This first one we see right here, he helps in a double situation, gets a steal, and his ability to really keep the ball up high is my main focal point. A lot of the times he does a really, really good job as we go in slow motion to keep the ball up high above all defenders, preventing, any easy deflection or steals is really, really impressive and something he does a ton. Something also that Iowa State was very comfortable with him doing was in transition, going coast to coast, being, a ball handler, bringing the ball up court. So we see right here, they do that. And so it's going to be a low pickup point from the Utah defender below the 3-point line. Obviously, they don't trust his 3-point shot. Understandable. But the thing that Joshua Jefferson does, a little in and out. But the one thing I think he could really improve on is either going off two or just taking one more dribble. Because since he doesn't go off two, it's a weird, landing. He's got a pivot foot right here. So he could turn clockwise and get a left hook. But, obviously not as strong with his, left hand. And so it's a very awkward finish where if he just waited, was a little bit more patient, went off two, or just one more extra dribble, could have been, a better finishing at the rim. In pick and roll, a lot of the times I think he's a really, really solid facilitator. And I know in this example, he's, the roll man, but it's just the simple things where we see not great defense by West Virginia. I don't know. I think number 2 could be, much more of a low man. And so as a result, it's a short roll. They hedge. And so Eagle staff has to pick up. And this is just an easy cut and great read by Jefferson. Fakes high and then hits the cutter low. Pick and roll, again, another example, Big 12 tournament, as I've said. And this one is going to be a, him as a ball handler. And it's a very, very similar example. This one, although he's a ball handler, gets downhill, good cut. But just he really, really loves this bounce pass, and you'll see consistently loves the bounce pass, and as a result, sometimes in that example, just too far and throws the ball out of bounds. In my eyes, we see right here a missed off the bounce 3. I really don't trust Joshua Jefferson as a shooter. If you are going to use him as a shooter, I want him to be a catch and shoot shooter, because he shoots much better catch and shoot off the bounce. I know, again, 10 seconds left, and so he's gonna have to do something, but I don't love, obviously they're switching and it's not an attack. Cameron Carr doesn't attack the switch, and so Joshua Jefferson can shoot that shot, but he just really is not a guy that can consistently shoot with the ball in his hands. In my eyes, he should be, in this example, a simple popper, where we see right here 77, 2 screens on the ball, and then we allow Jefferson to basically kind of ghost it. Trey Kaufman-Rinn's going to be a little bit behind, and so easy pop ability, but I don't really love him as a guy dribbling and trying to shoot. Transitioning into shooting, this is just a simple catch and shoot, but it kind of goes to my point in the weakness where sometimes it's just off of line. We saw 2 examples ago where it was just simply off, didn't even hit the rim. This example right here is that it's far to the right. I've seen plenty of times where it's far to the left. Whatever it may be, it's just a lot of the times a little inconsistent. The one thing I will say though, and we'll go back, is that he is a very confident shooter, which I love to see. He's not bothered by it. We see clearly right here, Oklahoma State defender number 22 is in the gaps, and so quickly stunts, and so Jefferson is not bothered and immediately gets to a shot. Even though it's off of line, that confidence is really, really key, especially at the NBA level. Again, similar example. Perfect swish, just the confidence is there for Jefferson. As I've said, he does a little bit of everything. We're going to be talking about a little bit of everything. This example right here, he draws a foul against Kansas, and I just love the overall patience by him. So we'll see his maturity, especially in the paint. They do a little bit of a punch screen, or, maybe not a punch screen, more of, flex, as, it's a screen at the block. If it was a punch screen, I'd say it'd be, a screen from block to block. Whatever it is, he gets the ball around the restricted area, ability to go off 2, draw a foul, very, very mature. His ability to be mature is great. Same example, going to be some flex action where he's getting ball right around the restricted area. He's got a really, really strong right hook over the left shoulder, and I think I really, really am impressed by the strength that he has. Not not afraid to lower his shoulder into the paint. As I've addressed in the weakness section, I know they're running some zone, East Illinois, but I'll just be completely up front. When he gets doubled, a lot of the times he just will honestly just throw it away, try to throw a skip pass, bad pass. I think you can have one more, maybe retreat dribble. He picks the ball up early. Obviously 2 of the Iowa State are running to the ball, and so unfortunately not great teaching, not a great overall clip, but there could be a lot of times in double where he's a little bit worried. I will say though, there are, again, I like to try to show a little bit of a variety of his game, so he is capable of making these reads, quick double, and able to find the open man. But it's just something to note. In my eyes, I don't think he's that dominant of a post player, where in the NBA he will get doubled, but just something worthy to note where NBA teams can kind of throw him off theoretically if they want to do a quick double. I really love his spin. He does it a pretty good job when it's controlled, and I think he sells it incredibly well. If we're going slow motion right here, I love his ability to really sell the fact that he's going right, and just a quick spin where all of this guy's body weight is on the right side of Jefferson. So his ability to quickly spin and then a wraparound assist to get an easy dunk is really, really, really impressive. Offensive rebounding, something he does pretty well. He gets about 2 of them a game. Ability to crash, and then again, patient in the post. Got that fundamentals, which I've said, but we'll look at this clip fully. One, not a great block out by the BYU defender, I'll be completely honest. Just lets Jefferson crash the boards. Grabs it with 2 hands, great fundamentals over AJ Debata. And then here we see great patience. I don't think really any of the BYU defenders are set, and so he just is patient. Obviously, there's 2 guys in the mess, and there's 2 Iowa State players. One's not getting guarded, patient enough to find the open man. Those little things he's able to do, offensive rebounds, is just what I love in his game. Playmaking again, ability to hit the cutter, as I've said, loves the bounce pass. We're going pick and roll, a little bit of a brush screen, so it doesn't really set it, is able to get a catch. And so man in help, that's in gap, guarding number 0, is going to have to help and quickly stunt, but great teaching. As we see the cut, 45 cut, off 2, great dunk. Really, really great playmaking and capabilities from Joshua Jefferson. We're seeing right here going off 2. We saw it in the first example in the Big 12 tournament semifinals, his ability to keep the ball up above his head, something he consistently does. I will be completely upfront, not great defense by Texas Tech. He's not even, Petty, I believe, is not even, looking at Joshua Jefferson, not in a defensive stance, whatever it may be. And so obviously not great defense. So Joshua Jefferson kind of realizes this. I can kind of attack a non-great defender. And so ability to be strong, get the ball over his head, draw some contact. Wasn't a foul called, but plenty of times, more contact can result, in and-one, something that Jefferson had plenty of them in, Big 12 play. Change of direction. I don't think he is, an immediate guy that is a really, really shifty guard, but he can do, a simple crossover between whatever it may be. We see right here, Sells going right, goes left, strong up, keeps the ball up high, as I've said. Just simple change of direction. Against Baylor, again, another Big 12 example, but this one just simply loses, the ball. I really do think it's something he can simply work on, and I know coaches have 100% helped him. He's improved a lot as a ball handler, but just there's little things where simply we see right here, tries to get a strong left, pound dribble, and just simply loses it with the in and out. And so just something, worthy to note, that if he wants to be a, isolation player, that's obviously going to, need to be fixed. I think in isolation, I don't really want him to try to simply go downhill, because in my eyes, Joshua Jefferson is really, really, really talented as a post player. I simply think you can, as what I like to call it, a Charles Barkley, where if you're in isolation, you get downhill and then switch hands and start posting up, something that Charles Barkley did really, really well, and a lot of players can do really, really well, like Joshua Jefferson, where you can simply flow into some post action. And so right here, he's strong, but the one thing I don't love is the fadeaway. He does the fadeaway a ton, where sometimes I think you can just be a little bit more mature. You're strong at the rim. You weigh 240 pounds for a reason. You don't need to settle for, this fadeaway shot that he doesn't consistently hit at a high level. I think if you're going to want to, get downhill, be patient. This example, again, not patient. At the end of the year against Arizona, a really, really vertical, talented team. Koa Pete, solid defender. You see right here, Joshua Jefferson does a really, really good job in my eyes. Stampede, I love it. He catches the ball and attacks the closeout with momentum. And so he loves that spin. But Koa Pete, pretty, solid vertical guy, is able to get a block. All you need to simply do is just be patient. I hate that a lot of guys just lack the patience. Just be patient around the rim, around the restricted area. Go off 2. You've got that mass, you've got that strength. It could be, an easy, great finish, but unfortunately, isn't able to finish the play. Another attacking closeout situation. This one draws an and one. We'll see right here. He gets a little pump fake, in and out, spin. We see right here, in and out, spin, And again, although maybe not fully, on balance, his ability to sell that spin, and then finish at the rim is really, really impressive. But again, I really want to sell the emphasis on trying to be on balance. Again, another simple one here, on balance, and he flows into a right hook, something that I really, really love. This is probably the most impressive example of an attacking closeout situation for Joshua Jefferson, and a lot of the times he's going to be spaced out. Obviously, most offenses will run Joshua Jefferson as a 4, so he's going to have to need the capability to really read defenders beyond the arc. This example we see right here, Stampedes is able to get downhill and then goes off 2. Lovely spin, right hook finish. That's all I want to see from a guy like Joshua Jefferson. As I've said, Joshua Jefferson is a really, really talented offensive player. And I know pretty much every time, and I will be completely honest, I'm pretty critical on defenders because, defense is really, really hard to perfect. So I will be critical again with Joshua Jefferson, but it's for a reason. Defensive strengths wise, I think he really can be used in a variety of pick and roll coverages, but I will note he has really, really good flashes of blitzing, which is surprising because he's able to quickly attack the hip of, offensive ball handlers and does a really, really good job. And in my eyes, as I've said, I think it can be used in a variety of pick and roll coverages, something that Iowa State did a pretty good job at, throwing a variety, whether it's blitzing, soft hedging, drop, switching, whatever it may be. Joshua Jefferson does a pretty solid job, and he was in the 77th percentile in pick and roll defense when he's guarding the roll man. Third strength, I know the first two were kind of similar together, but I think he's a solid help man that is able to convert turnovers, but I will say sometimes those are a little bit of gambles, as I will address. But defensive weaknesses wise, there are a plethora of them, and that's consistent with my kind of grading guarding defense because, again, I'm very, very critical when addressing defense. But for Joshua Jefferson, I will say it makes sense because, one, he lacks lateral quickness. He sometimes just has no on-ball stance, which just irks me to death because it's something so simple you can do, but he lacks that capability. And then along with that lack of lateral quickness, he really is unable to help in gaps when he's one pass away. And so the fact that I don't know if it was bad teaching where you're not taught to be up the floor, or it's just the lack of lateral quickness going from left to right, he struggles with that significantly. And then a weird thing kind of with the lack of incredible athleticism, he's got a really, really awkward closeout where he almost just throws his body towards the man and prays for a contest, which sometimes that may result, I don't think I included any in this defensive analysis, but there are plenty of times where that sometimes may result in a just bad foul. And as I addressed, bad fouls, sometimes he has a really, really impressive defensive, capabilities, defensive effort, and then simply at the end, bad fouling ends a great possession from him. As I've said, the first weakness, the lack of a stance. So we see right here, clearly, knees aren't bent, butt isn't low to the ground. We see right here, it's just very, very sad. And so the fact that simply a quick in and out can result in him getting beat immediately out of the play, just unable to guard the ball. And it happens really with anyone. This example is going to be against Melvin Castle. Again, knees barely bent, and the butt is at, we see right here, it's at like a 45-degree angle. I would love for it to be closer to a 90-degree angle, really low, because as a result, again, simple in and out, and lacks that ability to pop back because you can't pop back when your knees aren't bent. Also, a thing really, really weird with this game is that sometimes he has a weird ability when he's like popping up to guard a defender. And we'll see right here in the Colorado example, they're playing some flash game, really, really simple. And so although it's a little chaotic from Colorado, their offense in this example, pretty chaotic, but I think you just need to stay low in a stance. You don't need to like hop. And we see that clear hop he does a lot. Simply, you can just attack that really awkward closeout. And so Joshua Jefferson just has a pretty bad foul riding the body of number 3. I will say I hate to be very, very critical, so I will obviously sometimes include good examples. Right here, he was in some off ball, some gap. And so he did a pretty solid job in my eyes. Quickly gap, get to his man. And so obviously a non-shooter. And so he's going to stay low, and ability to have a body between, and then a quick swipe as, West Virginia player is a little bit off balance and gets a turnover. But most of the times it's going to feel something like this in this example against Dylan Darling, where just, lack of stance, better stance, really, I apologize, really good stance, but a little late, and so Dylan Darling can just get downhill and finish through contact. Transitioning into pick and roll, I've got 3 different examples of 3 different ways of guarding the ball. This first one is going to be pick and roll defense and attacking the switch, and so kind of transitions from pick and roll to guarding the ball. But we see right here, first off, attack the switch, good job. And then stance, we see right here, stays in front, gets a contest, love to see it. Secondly, blitzing, guarding Bennett starts, attacks the hip, and then swipes. Maybe you could, argue that might be a foul when you're crossing, the body, but good defense by Joshua Jefferson, attacking the hip, as I've said. And so Sturts did not do a great job at, eluding, trying to retreat dribble, tries to go, left to right, not up and down, and so results in a turnover. Drop coverage. This one, a little controversial by the refs. You could really say that Joshua Jefferson isn't set, but we'll see right here. Drop coverage. Drop coverage into some. Drop coverage or ice, really. Ice. If you don't know what ice coverage is, that's really really trying to funnel guys to the corner to trap. And so they're playing kind of some drop, ice, whatever you may call it. Short roll. Okay. And so has that body between. Maybe he isn't set. They call it, an offensive foul for that, elbow kind of push. But I think he has capabilities of, succeeding in pick and roll defense, whatever it may be. Post defense. I will say I've got a couple examples. I believe it's 3 of them. However, he doesn't seem like a very dominant post defender. I know a lot of these examples, he's low, but sometimes he kind of gets pushed around. This one, really good, post defense. Ability to stay low out of an out of bounds play. Body between, as I've said, walls up, stays low, vertical, and, gets a good contest at the block. However, there are going to be a couple times like this where really, solid post defense, but that bad jump at the end where he fouls ends a pretty, decent defense possession when he's closing out. Decent pop back, but kind of like we see right here doesn't have a ton of core and like hip strength, and so you got to get pushed around. And so that undisciplined nature, jumping at the ball, happens, plenty of times. This example, I will say, this is all on Trey Kaufman, random on being off balance, but I'm going to give Joshua Jefferson the benefit of the doubt that he kind of read this, that he was, incredibly off balance, trying to attack the rim. And so Jefferson, quick swipe at the ball, but showing his hand, showing his body, and Trey Kaufman just has a really bad, turnover, tries to throw it at the rim, whatever it may be. Off the ball, I don't love Joshua Jefferson off the ball. This example is going to be in transition, and I'm sure coaches clip this immediately. One of the first games of the year, and just simply bad communication. Doesn't find a man, leads for a wide open 3-point attempt. But more than that, it just feels like he's a little too slow to be up, too slow in my eyes, in help or off the ball, whatever you may call it. I'll explain why. One, not a great stance. We see right here, his back is completely to the man. I want him to be a little bit more up and have his chest in between the ball and his man. And so he doesn't do that. And so as a result, it's a really he's just not up the floor. And that's going to happen pretty much every time, where any point guard, any competent point guard can read this, where you can simply slide to the corner, and this guy is pretty much in purgatory. He's just not doing anything. Free three. Tagging, sometimes it might be a little bit of a gamble, but this example we see pick and roll. They're hedging, so obviously 2 on the ball. Jefferson can kind of read this, and he's going to tag and get a turnover when tagging up. This example again against Arizona State, where Joshua Jefferson is tagging and he's up the floor. Good job with JJ on defense. Again, reads the floor pretty well when tagging, but I will say that lack of lateral quickness is shown frequently. We see right here he's around the top of the key in the gaps, and so that lack of ability to quickly try to swipe and get back is unfortunate for him. I will say, if we're looking, back in the play, obviously they're running some, stagger 2 screens off the ball, and so obviously, he's trying to help number 27. I think that's Killian Torre, and so does the right effort as 2 is turning the corner, but a lot of the times we see the lack of lack of lateral capabilities. My apologies. Verticality, obviously a guy that gets plenty of blocks, a little bit less than 1 a game, but he can have this ability where he's the low man to just simply show hands, get a block. This example against Kansas, I will be completely upfront. That might be a foul because your hands are going down below. And so although he's got that verticality, I will be completely upfront where I want it to be just a little bit more vertical. He's swiping down at the end, and obviously they don't call it, but there are going to be plenty of times where that does happen, and I just want maturity consistently. Closing out situations, I will be completely upfront. I feel like sometimes Joshua Jefferson kind of prays and just throws his body at, his man. Obviously, he's helping the helper and closing out, and so that's not on him. But there are plenty of times in my eyes where he kind of just throws his body around. This is going to be another similar example where he's helping the helper, but this is more of a mature closeout where it's just simply staying low and, attacking the chest of the body rather than just throwing your body, overall. And then lastly, I will say sometimes lack of being up the floor can result in plays like this, where I like to be a little bit more right here, maybe not above the 3-point line, but just be in a stance. And so as a result, Bennett Sturts can just get an easy C pass, and he has to have an awkward pop back where he rides the body of his man, and then just a bad overall foul. I will say Joshua Jefferson is a difficult prospect to address. One, obviously because of his age, that obviously is going to play a role. But the thing that, in my opinion, is hard for me to completely, conceptualize is that I don't know if I see a clear role for him in the NBA. I think he's really, really impressive on the offensive end and can do anything. He can play in the post. He can create on his own if he gets a little bit better, with the ball. But that lack of a clear role concerns me for any team considering him in the first round. He's too small to simply be a true post player, although he does have, he's a talented post player, but doesn't lack that ridiculous strength, and also lacks, great quickness to be like a slasher or like a true driver. And it's hard for me to conceptualize a role for him. I for sure think he'll be drafted probably in the first round, but I think you're drafting a guy based on, how good he was in college, but not maybe how translatable his game truly is. And that's just the tough conversation that teams that want to draft Joshua Jefferson are going to have to, address. So I will say thank you so much for watching another episode of the Rim Review. If you have any questions on the analysis or suggestions on players you want me to watch, let me know down below. Until next time, thank you so much for watching.